Hey guys, in today's video, we're taking a look at every single LEGO Guardians of the Galaxy minifigure scale ship from Volume 1 all the way through Volume 3. So this takes us through Infinity War, Endgame, and everything in between, and I'm really excited about this. LEGO's given us quite a few different models at different scales and prices, so it's going to be fun to shoot them out and see which one comes out on top. Drop a comment down below which one you like the best, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 came out in 2014, and we got 3 LEGO sets from it, the biggest one being the Milano Spaceship Rescue that came out in June of that year. Now, the thing you have to remember, guys, is that at the time, we didn't know anything about the Guardians, so, getting this Star-Lord character and Ronan, basically, all we really knew was the comics, but these were not like mainstay household name characters like they are now. So this was a pretty big gamble at $75, almost kind of like the Eternals. Granted, I think this movie was a lot better than the Eternals, but kind of the same thing where like the sets were hitting store shelves and we didn't really know what we were buying. We were just kind of buying the hype, if you will. That being said, as minifigures go, the Star-Lord here is really cool. He had his full Ravager jacket on, and all 3 of the Guardians of this set have the exact same legs, interestingly enough. If we lift the helmet up, he had the same head that they used on Bucky Barnes back in the day, and you kind of used the short hair on it, so you could do that. And he also came with a helmet. There have only ever been 2 sets that came with Star-Lord's helmet. Both of them were Milano's, and that's the next set we'll look at here in just a minute. Other than him, we also got an exclusive Gamora, which was really nice. Got the green skin, and basically you have the green skin on the torso and the head, but the legs are the same as Star-Lord. Can flip that around and see there's some printing on the back as well, and she's got a smirk on one side and an angry fighting face on the other. For Drax, he had a more calm face here, not really making any expression, but we do have great arm printing for his tattoos that look awesome, as well as front and back printing on the torso, even some printing on the back of the head and those same legs as everybody else. We have the Sakaran here, which was an army builder. You got one of these in every set from this wave, and he had a reversible head with some talons and 2 eyes on one side, and then a closed face with just one eye showing on the other side. So nothing to get too excited about. Unique gun for this figure, and probably the best figure in the set was Ronan. He only came in this set, so that's quite cool as well. You can lift this helmet piece off and flip that around for a more calm face on the other side. Then you can lift the cape up to see some printing on the back as well, and overall, it's a really great figure. The other thing is the gun that they use against Ronan, the one that Star-Lord holds and like blasts out, so that's cool that that was included. And then, of course, that brings us to the ship itself. Now, there was a Rocket Raccoon polybag that came out around this time that had Rocket in his Ravager suit, and that kind of helped complete out the team, but that polybag came with some extra stickers you could put on this, so that's kind of cool to point out, but this model here does not have those stickers on. I really love what they did with the front here to kind of get that triangular look at the front, and overall, this is one of the bigger models that they ever put out, and it's pretty amazing that this was $75. I mean, just giving it a quick spin, you can see we had a mix of Technic elements for the wings on the back here, have this really cool, piece back here for the engine. These engines in the back twist as well. Then we could lift up this entire roof section to access the inside, where there were seats for all the Guardians inside. Now, the Groot that came in this wave was a big fig, so you couldn't even possibly fit Groot in here, but, Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, and Rocket, at least all the, characters could have a place to sit. We had some clips on the side here to put Star-Lord's guns. If we flip it around, you can see that they reused a Star Wars piece for the computer up front there. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, if we bring it around back, it is a little tricky to see the interior here as it sits, but we do have a stereo in the back with the speakers and a little cassette there, and I really like that there was a window in the back for the Guardians to look out of, and of course we have a fire extinguisher hanging on the wall there. A lot of LEGO Marvel sets back in the day used to hide that as an Easter egg, which is pretty cool, and yeah, this is the set. I definitely think it was worth $75, and honestly, for a long time, this was my favorite LEGO Marvel set, but there have been better ones since then, but I have a lot of nostalgia for this. I really enjoyed building and getting this back in the day. 3 years later, in 2017, we got the Milano versus the Abilisk in March. So this is a really cool build. It's the smallest minifigure scale Milano we've gotten to date, but it did come with the pink monster they fight, but again, this video is only focusing on the main builds here. That being said, our Star-Lord minifig this time around was absolutely excellent, except for the fact that the torso is supposed to be dark red instead of gray, so unfortunately, the torso isn't accurate even though it has tons of detail. The legs are the same ones that were used on Civil War Hawkeye and in some other places, and this helmet was the last time we would ever get a Star-Lord helmet on a Star-Lord minifig, at least as of the recording of this video. If we lift that up, you can see they still use that same Bucky Barnes style head, but you can flip it around and see he's got an angry face on the other side, so that's kind of cool. Then we can lift this up, and you can see that he had a neck bracket with a 1x1 stud and binoculars for a jetpack, but honestly, I think he looks even better without that because the jetpack is printed onto the back of the torso. He has his standard blasters, and overall, it's a really nice figure. Then we have Gamora, who has the exact same torso. The only difference is that her hands are green, but even in the movie, she has a red jacket or red shirt on too, so the gray isn't accurate for her either. The legs are exactly the same, and then, of course, she's got that unique hairpiece, and you've got a smile on one side, and you can flip it around for a grit teeth angry face on the other, and, of course, she still has that same printing on the back for her jetpack. Next, we have Drax, a slight difference from the Volume 1 version. You know, he's got the arm printing still, he's got the back printing. He does have that same jetpack that Star-Lord has, so that's pretty cool. We can slide that off so you can see the back printing too. Lots of detail there. And he also has the blue legs, which differentiate him from the last version and definitely makes him a standout and a great figure. Our final traditional minifigure is Nebula. Of course, she's got some battle damage on the torso there. And the other difference with this figure is in Volume 1, she has a dark blue head with light blue in the center. This time, it's dark blue in the center with a light blue head. So that's a slight difference. And of course, she's got some handcuffs there. And finally, who can't go nuts for Baby Groot? He's so adorable. He's just a singular stud little figure here. And then, of course, he's got little bulbs for hands there. And those can kind of clip on to things like this little battery that the set comes with or whatever. That being said, the real focus of the video is the ship. So let's talk about the ship here. It's the scaled down version. Like I said, it's the smallest version of this ship we've gotten to date, at least to be in scale with minifigures, so unfortunately it's not true to scale with the movie, and you have to remember that there were 460 pieces in this, 5 exclusive minifigs, and the retail price was $50, so it's actually not too bad for $50 plus that side build that you'd get. We have a lot of stickers on here with the Milano, a lot of stickers on the back, so it definitely had its fair share of stickers, but the canopy was printed, and you could open it up to see we've got a cassette sticker on the back there, and interestingly enough, you can actually fit all of the Guardians inside, so let me show you what that looks like. Alright, so Baby Groot will have to sit in somebody's lap, but you can fit all of the minifigures from this set inside, and I really, really like that. So definitely big props on that. The other play feature here is that there are some bombs on the bottom side that you can press these Technic pins in and then drop the bombs out like that. And we do have some stud shooters up top where you just press this tab down and the stud comes out, a little something like that. But overall, it's a very nice build, and hard to believe you got all of this plus that pink monster for only $50. If you guys were collecting LEGO in 2018, you know how hyped the Infinity War sets were, and this one was no exception. This was the Thanos Ultimate Battle, and it came out in March of 2018 with 674 pieces, 4 exclusive minifigs. We'll talk about that in a second, and it was $70. Now, I do have to stretch the truth a little bit on this one, guys, because there was a set called Thor's Weapon Quest, which you could get that would include the escape pod in the back. So I did include the escape pod here so you could see the most complete version of the ship, but for all intents and purposes, we're really only going to talk about the main build of the ship itself. Now, for our exclusive minifigures, we have Star-Lord, and he's not traditionally exclusive. The Volume 2 version was slightly different and, you know, just slight variation. So he's not exactly exclusive, but like this combination of parts is exclusive per se. For Gamora, she really is exclusive. She only came in this set. Of course, you can lift the hair up and have that reversible angry face on the other side, just like we saw before, and it was really nice to get leg printing on this figure as well. For Iron Man, you'll see here that this is the same one that came in the Infinity War Sanctum set, which is quite cool, but this version was supposed to have wings. I dismantled my wings a long time ago to make them a little bit more accurate to that scene in New York, so unfortunately, I don't have the pieces, like, handy to rebuild it, but it did come with these wings that, like, were mounted to his back in a slightly different way. The other thing here is Thanos. Back in the day, you had to buy every Infinity War set to get all of the stones, so it was kind of cool to have to do that, but, you know, by today's standards, it's much nicer to just have a complete gauntlet. That being said, this was our first ever MCU Thanos Big Fig, and our only one for that year, so definitely very cool, and a great little history lesson in and of itself. As we get into the set, it's a really, really fine set. It's actually got a little bit of weight to it. You can see we've got some stud shooters up top here. The top lifts off, which we'll look at in just a moment, but the canopy up front can lift open, as can the entire front, and then you can pull out this little exploration cart. You can see that there's like some studs for it to hover and be moved. There's clips for weapons like guns and swords and things like that, and then that ball joint just clicks into those red hinges right there, and then it sits in place. But of course, you could put your figures in here and have them fly into action, a little something like that. As far as the overall construction, I really like the angle of the wings. They kind of push up, if you will, so that's very cool. We did have quite a few stickers on this bad boy, but that's okay. It helps bring out a little extra detail. You could lift up these wings both together or independent of one another, so, you know, to show you a little up close like that. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and move it so you can see the underside. Not a lot to write home about, and apparently I lost one of those somewhere along the way. Oops, too far into this video now to back out. So I did mention you could remove the escape pod, and basically you just take the roof off like that, and then these hinge pieces come out, so that's very cool. And overall, it's a really, really nice little build, but this technically was its own set from Thor's Weapon Quest, as I said, so I don't really want to focus on this too much other than just saying that it could be included. Then, of course, you could push down this panel here, and there was more room inside for you to have your Avengers or Guardians team up. We had some sticker panels there, we had seating and everything, so definitely cool. But as far as play value goes, I think that this one ranks a little toward the bottom. The build itself is just a little bit on the flimsy side. The weight is kind of all over the place, and if you look at the value of it, it hasn't really held up quite like the other ones. It's actually like, I think you can get this for less than retail now if you're just buying the ship. So anyways, kind of talking myself in a circle here, but this is not my favorite one, although I do have a lot of nostalgia for it, for how hyped that summer was collecting Lego. In 2021, we got the Guardians ship, of course. This is known as the Benatar in the MCU, and this one is kind of the king of them all. It has the benefit of having the most pieces, the highest price, therefore kind of getting the most minifigs and things like that. However, the minifigs, none of them are truly exclusive. I guess the only argument you could make is for Star-Lord because of his legs, but every minifigure has appeared in somewhere else other than this set. So first up, of course, we have the Chitauri. This one's pretty obvious, right? It's just a Chitauri soldier, so it makes total sense that this has been in tons of sets. Honestly, kind of a weird inclusion. Mantis was a nice inclusion. At the time the set came out, it was the first time she'd been in a set since 2017, so that was very cool and definitely good to have her back in the roster. Thor has come in many different sets. He's supposed to just have regular black legs. I added those on as a custom little upgrade there, but he's come in lots of different sets. Of course, he had a double-sided head. Unfortunately, nothing too rare or exclusive about him since, again, he's been in lots of places. Rocket, he also came in the Guardians Advent calendar, which was nice to get him for a little cheaper, but at the same time, it kind of ruined the exclusivity of this set. Same story here with Groot. Groot arrived in that Advent calendar as well, but he had like a tree thing on his back, like a Christmas tree thing, so technically that makes him exclusive, but, you know, not really, because it's just adding pieces to an already existing figure. And finally, I guess you could make the argument that Star-Lord is truly exclusive because of the Superman-style hairpiece and the dual-molded legs, but it still did appear very similarly with different legs in the Guardians Advent calendar. Pretty much everybody here appeared somewhere else, so this set definitely is not the best minifig set of any of the Guardians ship sets. That being said, let's clear the minifigs out of the way for now to take a closer look at the ship itself. It came on this giant black stand, which you could rotate the ship to display however you wish on your Lego shelf, and this thing commands a lot of space. The nice thing, though, is because it's kind of hovering above everything, you could display sets underneath it, which is really, really nice. As far as play features go, this was more of like a model than a play set, so there aren't a ton of play features. Most of the play features are actually based around the interior, where, you know, you were able to put figures in the flying positions and things like that, then close it, and you could see them through the little visor up front here, and of course that opens up for extra access as well. It's a little shadowy in there, but you guys kind of get the drill. So let's move the camera around so I can show you some better angles of this. So the top has tons of great detailing. I love the contouring of the wings, and yeah, there are a lot of stickers on here, but you know what? It's so big and it's so massive, and it's such an impressive build in the end that I really don't mind it so much. Of course, we can lift up the roof here and get to the inside. The roof is actually two pieces, front and back. You can see that we have a very detailed interior. On the wall, you could see there's a computer where they're searching for Gamora and a donut, presumably Quills, but hey, who knows? And on the opposite side, we've got a coffee maker, so that's pretty unique. You can see we've got some clips hanging all around here for weapon storage, and then in the back, you can see there's just a little bit of extra detailing back there. It is a little bit hard to show off, but it's a little easier to see in person. But yeah, I'm doing the best I can with video. Now, unlike the previous models, the wings are kind of a fixed, you know, the previous models, you were able to move them. And yes, there is a little bit of movement that I can force, but they're not really meant to be moved except for this bottom wing. So the top one is a fixed and the bottom one can actually open and close a little bit. So I think some people really dug that. Others kind of wish there was more mobility, but just look how much great detailing and piping there was built in here. And then the back wings being able to open up too were amazing. So you could position it. I don't really know if this is like attack version or hyperspace mode or whatever the case may be, but it was very, very cool that there was a lot of posability on those back wings, and overall, this model is just amazing. It's hard not to say it's the best one just because there's so much detail, but I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments, and hey, we've still got one more ship to go. And the final ship to visit is the New Guardians ship from Volume 3, and it kind of is going to close us out here, just like Volume 3 is the closing chapter to the saga for these characters. That being said, the minifigs kind of leave a lot to be desired. I mean, it is cool that they all have their matching uniforms and whatnot, but because they're matching, it's basically the same minifigure over and over. So, of course, we've got Star-Lord, Drax with a green head this time, Nebula, and Mantis, with the standout figure being Adam Warlock, that great front and back printing on the torso, as well as the double-sided gold head. Definitely makes this for a memorable figure, especially compared to the other four, which are basically the same, just with a swapped-out head. For the build itself, I do like that it borrowed the black stand idea from the previous entry from the Infinity Saga, but beyond that, I'm really not a big fan of this ship or the set. I mean, I know that it's cool and it's different, and I guess for the sake of toys, you've always got to be getting new ships and things like that, but I'm just not a huge fan of this. I do like the color scheme, don't get me wrong, but especially after looking at all the other ships side by side, I just think that this one leaves a lot to be desired. Now, it did release in 2023 with 1,108 pieces, 5 minifigs, 4 exclusives, Star-Lord being the one that appeared in another set, and it retailed for $100. But basically, as far as play features go, you could open it up, and you can fit all the Guardians inside, which is nice. So you got one Guardian here, you've got another Guardian behind him, you've got another Guardian behind that, and then you could fit a Guardian, if you lift it up out of the stand, you can open this bottom part up and fit a Guardian up inside. I think Drax is actually supposed to go in the bottom, but just for showing you what you could do with it, at least you can fit every figure that comes in the set there. But if you want Groot or Rocket, well, that's just too bad. So once again, you can kind of lift it up and just kind of put it on the stand here like that. We do have quite a few stickers kind of along the back engines and things like that. Again, I don't really mind the stickers for stuff like this because it really does help with the detailing, but the back O-rings, I guess, don't really move. They're kind of stationary in place. And the only other play feature is that both sides have these removable little flyer ships. I'll be very shocked if this is actually a play feature in the movie. I feel like this is just something that they included for the toys, kind of like something out of G.I. Joe or Transformers, where it's just there for play value, not really for movie accuracy. But that's really all there is to say about this. There's not much more to it. I mean, it's a very big build. I remember building it. The rings are very repetitive to build, so some people are going to like that. Other people aren't, but Yeah, there's not really too much more to say about this one. It's a fine build. It definitely displays well, but it's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination. So let's zoom out and I'll give you my final thoughts on all of the Guardians ships. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Needless to say, the Infinity Saga one is the victor in my book. When it comes to price, scale, detail, it's just too hard not to say it's the best one. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below, so be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Well, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and maybe check out one of my other videos listed here.